Welcome to Module 2 of the Facebook advertising system from LeadPages. I'm Bob, the teacher, the marketing educator here, and we've discovered a lot about Facebook ads through obsessing over the details. In this module, I want to introduce you to Andrew Scher, our in-house paid media specialist, who will break down how we run our advertising campaigns. Andrew and I will share what's working for us, mistakes you can avoid making from the beginning, and how to measure success. Andrew is a paid media ninja, and we're fortunate to have him on our marketing team. His campaigns bring in over 1,000 new LeadPages customers each month through Facebook, Google, and other paid media channels. In fact, with just Facebook, Andrew helps us add at least 4,000 leads and over 250 customers to our audience every month. Andrew, thanks for joining me today.
Not a problem, Bob.
You're exploring and basically running all of our advertising campaigns on Facebook, as well as other media channels.
Correct. Anything that kind of has a direct marketing return that we actually pay for is under my umbrella.
Before we get too deep, I'd love to know, do you have an example result that you're really excited about with our Facebook advertising campaigns that we'll then explore a little bit as our discussion continues?
Yeah, I think it's kind of high level, but just the fact that we've been able to scale at the rate that we have, we've had no problem growing both ad spend and revenue month over month, well beyond kind of our goal rate that we're going after.
Awesome. So that's like increasing our ad spend by 25, 40% or something like that, or higher or lower?
It was a lot faster at the beginning. It started to slow down, but even the slowing down is still 20% month over month. So
now, as we go forward, I want to ask you just a ton of questions and really just dive into the magic that you've been able to do with our account. In that process, discover what are some best practices that our LeadPages customers can use in tandem with their LeadPages account with their advertising campaigns. So to start out, let me ask you this. What are some initial mistakes first-time advertisers tend to have when they're doing their advertising?
I think from a Facebook side of things, it's not utilizing the awesome targeting that they have and the capabilities to really come up with a finite audience. You can go as broad as you want or as finite as you want, but I always recommend as finite as possible right away. Use the targeting capabilities, even if it's a small audience. Find something that works, and then start to expand from there, rather than just the shotgun approach of, hey, we're going to throw ads out to everyone, which we did at the beginning, and they didn't work really well. Really try to target down to a small audience, start there, find something that works, and then expand on that.
What would you say is a good number for that audience? Because since you're running the targeting and you have the interests and behaviors and whatever, you can go from millions down to 100. So what would be a good target number for somebody to define that finite audience to?
Since a lot of Facebook is retargeting and running lookalike audiences, depends on the amount of traffic to your site. So if you're retargeting, if you can find a group that encompasses 5 to 10% of your total audience, or that range of number would probably be a good place to start. And then with Facebook's lookalike capabilities, that can grow. You do a 1% lookalike and you're at 200,000, 2 million people relatively quickly, but start small, definitely.
Okay, cool. I also see a lot of people tend to pay a lot of attention to a few different metrics in the Facebook reporting. There's cost per click, there's cost per conversion, there's CPM, there's all these other abbreviations. We're going to dive into some of those today. But which of those do you feel are the key metrics that you want people to be paying attention to?
It depends on your goals. So if you are looking to drive a website conversion, it's going to be cost per conversion. If you're looking for general traffic, your cost per thousand, your cost per click are going to be your biggest metrics. And then if you're looking for an actual shopping cart purchase on your site, cost per customer, cost per checkout is going to be your biggest metric to keep an eye on.
Cool. And assuming since most of our folks are LeadPages customers that are listening to this course or will soon be, that conversion metric is going to be high for them as well. There are two types of conversions. There are leads and there are sales. So talk to us a little bit about your thinking process of which one to focus on.
If you're using LeadPages, that the cost per lead is going to be the biggest metric for you. That's basically looking at the cost to have somebody click on your Facebook ad, ultimately end up on your lead page, and then turn into someone that you're able to market. From there, your marketing automation process comes into play to turn them into an actual customer. But the metric that you should rely on from the Facebook side of things is that cost per lead or cost to acquire that email address.
Cool. And you've been pretty ninja-like at getting our cost per lead down quite a bit. What are some things that people will be thinking about from the start that helps drive that cost per lead down?
I think definitely keeping an eye on metrics on a daily basis, even a couple times a day, helps. The faster you can turn something off that's not working, the more you cut that excess spend that ultimately makes your cost per lead go up. And then back to that original point of targeting, I think is big. If you find someone who is genuinely interested in what you have to offer from the start, that conversion rate's going to be a lot better on your landing page, which ultimately ends up in a lower cost per lead.
So as you're looking at the cost per lead as a metric, what do we need to know about within the Facebook environment to put onto our own websites, to put on LeadPages, to put on whatever pages we need to make sure that that number is actually accurately reported?
Yeah, Facebook allows you to create as many conversion pixels as you'd like. How you do it from a cost per lead standpoint and when you're using a program like LeadPages is create a pixel inside of LeadPages, a conversion pixel, call it a lead, call it a registrant, whatever that person is ultimately doing on your page. And then you place that snippet of code on the thank you page behind your lead page. That way Facebook knows somebody got to that page, which means they've given you their email address and it counts it as a lead or a conversion or a registration, whatever you're calling it inside of Facebook.
Cool. Now, one of the things that I've really loved learning from you over the last couple of months of working with you here at LeadPages is the concepts of retargeting and the lookalike audience. So I really want to explore that because I think this is going to open up the minds of the people watching this course, what's possible and why people are so eager to successfully run ad campaigns on Facebook particularly. So talk to me a little bit about what retargeting is.
Just retargeting in general is delivering an ad to somebody who has been to your site, a page on your site. Similar to that conversion pixel, Facebook also lets you put a retargeting pixel anywhere on your site. I recommend everywhere on your site so you can retarget all of that traffic. They then cookie that person, and then you can follow that person when they come back to Facebook and deliver them an ad for your business or your service.
And you use retargeting in other ad platforms as well. Like I see LeadPages ads on blogs and other people's websites all the time, but it can be specifically just for Facebook. You mentioned putting your retargeting pixel everywhere. Is there a reason why you would use a different retargeting pixel on different parts of your website depending on what behavior someone has done on your site?
Yeah, so in other platforms that it actually works like that. The glory of Facebook is they allow you to put one retargeting pixel on your whole site, and then inside of the Facebook ads platform, you can start to segment your traffic based on what page they went to, whether they got to the thank you page, whether they didn't get to the thank you page. So it's actually a lot easier than using other retargeting platforms because it's one pixel across your whole site.
Cool. And that would be important for somebody to use because once somebody's bought your product, you want to save a little money and not keep sending them ads for the thing they've already bought.
Exactly. So you'd create two different audiences, one for someone who has been to your site, and then one for someone who has been to your site and got to the thank you page, and then you can exclude that second audience from your ads. You've already got their email address. They've already purchased a product from you. No use to spend money on them anymore.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about the idea of lookalike audiences. In this course, we're exploring all avenues of target audiences and how to create audiences, how to import audiences from your existing database and so forth. But one of the most fascinating audiences to tap into seems to me to be that lookalike audience. So explain it to me as if I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, lookalike audiences are great, especially when it comes to expansion and when you think you've run out of ideas and you've run out of your own audience to retarget. Facebook's got an algorithm, and I don't know if anyone knows exactly how it works, but they take all the data from your retargeting pixel, so somebody who's been to your site, and then they mirror it with the whole audience, the whole population that uses Facebook, and based on attributes, they come up with a group that looks like people who've been to your site, or you can even get more finite and come up with a lookalike audience that looks like your customers. These are people who have never been to your website, they've never opted in, they've never converted on your site, but based on an algorithm, Facebook says they look like your customers, they act like your customers online, and that's a good group to start going after.
You make sure Facebook knows which pages on your site are checkout pages so that you know which people have become customers. And then Facebook figures out, based on those people's behavior on Facebook and their interest levels and their activity, we'll make an audience that looks like that. So it could be what movies they look at or TV shows that they look at, how they vote, how active their credit card online purchasing behaviors like, all that kind of stuff.
There are millions and millions of data points inside of Facebook for every single user, and they're able to match them up to very scientifically come up with someone that looks like your website traffic or looks like someone who's already purchased on your website.
The downside of paid advertising is usually, just as you mentioned before, a shotgun approach. I just throw it out. It's almost like throwing a banner up on the side of the highway and hoping that some particular driver is going to see it. But essentially, what you're doing is Facebook says everybody who drives a Ford pickup truck is the only people who will see this ad in the first place. And what we would normally spend on an ad to show to everybody else is just eliminated. And so our costs go way, way down.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that Facebook has to offer from an advertising side of things is just the ability to get your ad in front of eyeballs who at least from an algorithm standpoint should be looking at your ad.
Cool. Now let's talk a little bit about the way that you've structured campaigns here at LeadPages. What are some of the things that you think would be obvious that somebody watching this course is going to go, well, no kidding that they advertise that and promote that. But you promote some other cool stuff in our ecosystem that has some pretty cool results. So first, what are some obvious targeted landing pages that you would say people should be advertising to?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a valuable asset that somebody would like to download, whether it's a webinar, white paper, PDF, something that gives value to someone, I think you can run a campaign around it. If you're posting, especially in a blog, I think you should be posting that on Facebook as well, and then running paid placements for those Facebook posts. If you produce valuable content, it's something that is very easy to promote from a Facebook ad side of things, and we've seen good results return on ad spend wise with just promoting our own content that we produce.
So free reports, free downloads, webinar registrations, etc. Those are good places to go to, and then they're on your email list. Then you can market to them afterwards. You also mentioned blog posts. What are some key things that you know that we do right here at LeadPages that makes advertising to a blog post really profitable in the end run?
Yeah, LeadPages is easy to advertise for blog posts because our blog is so highly optimized. Our blog post is there to provide content, but also it's a great lead collection source for us with lead boxes. And on our blog, we promote our webinars, and on our blog, we promote assets. So not only is it valuable content, but it's also a very good conversion point for us.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about the landing page of a blog post for us is we don't have 6 opt-in forms visible on the page. We have an attractive layout, but there's actually at least 6 opportunities to opt in pretty much on any post that we have, between the 2 separate webinar registrations, the regular email list, the content upgrade for the post, plus the 4-step tutorial, and usually in the footer there's another opportunity to opt in, but none of those look like opt-in forms. So I think it's really cool, and maybe is even favorable for Facebook's terms of service, to have all this content with no visible opt-in form on the page.
Yeah, I think it's good, and we've taken a lot of time and put a lot of effort into making it very user friendly. And Facebook and Google and every paid media advertising platform out there likes you to drive traffic to something that's user friendly and is aesthetically pleasing. And I think the way our blog is set up definitely accomplishes that.
Is there a time when you are sending paid media to a sales page instead of to an opt-in? What are some thoughts around that as a focal point?
Most definitely. Anytime that you have an e-commerce shopping cart, sending retargeting traffic, or at least testing sending retargeting traffic right to the shopping cart is a good approach. I personally go in and set up some audiences for people who've been to our pricing page. They've had enough interest to get all the way to the pricing page, and then we retarget them and send them directly to the shopping cart page or the pricing page where they can purchase. If someone shows enough intent, whatever you deem enough intent from a website traffic side of things, you can send them right to your pricing page.
Cool, but it sounds like you would not recommend sending cold traffic who have never seen your page straight to your buy page.
Really depends on your business model, but most models go for lead opt-in first, get them warm through some sort of nurturing sequence, and then maybe down the road send them to a thank you page.
Okay, cool. But even if they do choose to do that, having the retargeting pixel on that page, they might not capture the lead, but at least they've triggered enough so that they could retarget them at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if you set them up right, you'll know whether they are or are not a lead, and then you can send them specific ads based on whether you've captured their email address or have not captured their email address.
Cool, and that's where that importance of that tracking pixel, the conversion pixels they have, is so important on various pages of your site.
Yeah, you, especially from a retargeting standpoint, as many times as you can put it on a page, definitely do it.
Now, talk to me a little bit about how you create ad sets in the sense of what are some of those behaviors that you're looking at? What are some of the finer tuned audiences that you like to target so that you can have a very focused campaign that gets a low cost per click while also having a high conversion rate?
I think we've used Facebook's data a lot to learn how to do this. They provide a lot of great audience insights, whether your customers are male or female, whether they're 18 or 60, what their other online behaviors are. From there, we then go into the targeting and kind of go backwards and start to narrow it down. So we do a lot of gender targeting, we do age targeting, we do a lot of interest targeting, interested in your competitors, interested in companies that are like you, interested in like businesses, I think are awesome targeting capabilities. And then taking it one step further, starting to pair those targetings, the targeting capabilities of like behavior and interest with your lookalike audiences is really, really powerful. So now you can say that somebody likes your competitor and they look like your customer. That's a very finite group that you can start to go after.
Cool. And then what's that next level with the ads that you run to those audiences? It seems to me like you have a great opportunity if you know that this audience is of women 35 to 45 who are single, that your ad copy or your imagery on your ads could reflect that audience or speak directly to them.
Yeah, both of those. I think the more directly targeted and the more you can speak to that group, the better off you are. From a click rate, from a conversion rate, from basically every metric that you want to improve. I think the more targeted you can get with your ads, the better.
Now, I want to go back to this idea of the landing pages because that seems to be one of the critical elements to a successful campaign. For all the good ad copy you might have and the great image to get the click, that's what Facebook wants you to do. Like, Facebook wants you to get the click because that's how they're going to make their money. But for you to make your money and build your list, the landing page and that conversion has to happen. So except for the conversion of liking your page, everything else is essentially off of Facebook. So a couple things. Number one, what are you finding for landing pages that are on Facebook, like using a Facebook tab within a business fan page as a destination for your ad? Is that a good thing to do? Is that something that you would not advise?
I think it really depends on your business, but I would advise against it. I think anytime you can get traffic to your site and start collecting data on your site or your landing page, the better.
Cool. The reputation is that sending traffic within Facebook will reduce your costs. The conversion to me seems like it would be a lot less because you've got distractions, you have notifications, you have other ads, etc. So it seems like steering them off the site to your own properties would be better in that way too.
Yeah, definitely. It's something we do as a best practice. You may see a lower cost per click or you may see a lower cost per thousand sending them to a Facebook page, but in my experience, I've seen a lot lower conversion rate, and it's still been cost beneficial to send them to our own site.
Cool. So let's talk about those landing pages that are off the site. So obviously, you and I are both biased because we work for LeadPages, and we're going to encourage anybody watching this video to use LeadPages. But what are some of the ideas of conversion that people should have on their landing pages to get successful ad campaigns rocking?
Yeah, I think LeadPages, again, I'm going to sound like a homer, but makes it super easy. When it comes down to it, when you get somebody to that page, it's about converting. It's about getting them to click a button and give you their email address or whatever information you're trying to obtain. You can sort by conversion rate in LeadPages. We start at the top. Internally, we do the exact same thing that our customers do. We start with the highest converting landing pages. They've been tested. We add our own copy in, and we normally succeed with it. If we don't, maybe you're sending the wrong traffic to it from a Facebook side of things. Maybe the messaging you changed on the page isn't appealing enough. I just think using our native platform, just like our customers do, is the best approach we can take from a landing page side of things.
Cool. And you don't have to guess what that conversion rate is because the system is saying all 30,000 plus customers are using these pages, and the data points of those are saying these pages outperform the others in general.
Definitely, and you can break it down by what you're trying to accomplish too. So if you want a long form enterprise level, we've got a page for that, and you can sort by conversion rate. If you're looking for a pre-sale page, we've got a page for that. If you're looking for a simple opt-in page, we've got a page for that. We just test them just like every customer does, and test the ad copy and test the traffic we're sending to them until we find a sweet spot.
Cool. Are there any elements of that landing page that maybe it's part of the template and somebody might try to hide it, or they should include it to make sure that they're in line with Facebook's terms of service?
Facebook is a lot less stringent than a company like Google AdWords when it comes to landing pages. One thing you probably don't want to do is autoplay video on the landing page, but besides that, most of our LeadPages templates adhere to what Facebook's looking for from a landing page side of things.
Cool. And it seems to me like landing pages that match the ads that you're running is an important step to take for that consistency. So talk a little bit about how important that is. You run like a boatload of ads. So how many pages do you typically make? Do you try to match up different landing pages for different ad sets, etc.?
Yeah, that's the labor intensive part. LeadPages makes it pretty easy just with a point and click and swap out some text. Back to the more finite point that I've been making. The more finite you can get, I mean, if your headline in your ad matches your headline on the landing page, the better off you are. I know that's probably impossible for some advertisers who are running hundreds and hundreds of campaigns, but if you're running a couple, take the time to make the changes, duplicate that landing page, make the changes so that the messaging in your ad matches the messaging on the landing page, and you'll probably see a higher conversion rate because of it.
And with the duplication feature of LeadPages and, like you said, a couple clicks, you could quickly have 10 versions of the same page, but that are served by those 10 different ads.
Definitely. It's super easy.
Now, creating the 10 ads, 50 ads, 100 ads, that's a really labor-intensive part of Facebook, I find. It seems like you have a secret weapon to automate that process a little bit so it breaks up. Talk to us a little bit about that.
There are a couple tools out there that do it. I'm biased to a tool called Kenshu. I've been using it for a while, but it helps in duplicating ads. You were speaking of one earlier. What was it called again? Quaya.
One of our other Facebook experts that is in this course had mentioned it.
Both work for duplicating ads and kind of taking a little of the labor out of it. Again, if you're not running hundreds and hundreds of ads, it is pretty easy to create an ad inside of Facebook. It's not rocket science, and you can reuse a lot of your copy, try to tweak some of the buzzwords you use in your headlines, and swap out the imagery, whether it's stock imagery, whether you have a designer, whether you are a designer and are creating your own ads. Try to keep it fresh because there's definitely ad fatigue from a user side of things. It's not insanely difficult unless you're running really, really big campaigns and programs.
Cool. How long would you say that an ad should run before you start to tweak and tinker with the ad copy, the image copy, etc., so that, it seems to me like there's a point before which it's premature and after which you might lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what's that sweet spot of making some revisions and changes in your ad campaigns?
Yeah, I think every threshold is going to be different, based on your overall ad spend, based on your goals, based on what you're trying to accomplish. But if you have the budget to do it, give it its fair shake. I would let it play out. And if you can within a couple sales get back to break even, I would continue to run it. If you get past that, if you're I need 5, 6, 7 sales for this campaign to be break even, I'd contemplate changing something or turning it off. But again, it all depends on your goals. If you have a small budget, you're going to be a lot quicker to pause it. And if you have a larger budget, you might allow it to run a little longer.
Cool. Now, you just mentioned something that I'd love to explore a little bit further, and that's breaking even versus profitability versus losing money. So there's a ton of schools of thought out there, and I'd love your take on what is your goal at how much you spend versus how much you make on your ads themselves, and what else do you consider for a campaign to be successful as opposed to a drain on the business?
I think this one also really depends on your business. I have a background in B2C e-commerce from a retail side of things. I have a SaaS-based business, which we're in now. I have a pure B2B lead generation business background as well. And they all had 3 very different goals. A SaaS-based business, your return can be a little less because it is a multi-subscription business. You can afford to maybe even be negative. Some larger companies have come out and said they're negative for a couple years. Their cost to acquire a customer is a couple years negative. A B2B lead generation business, we had a cost per lead goal where we just tried to obtain that cost per lead at all costs. And a B2C side is a little different as well because you have different margins. You may be drop shipping a product, you may be creating it on your own. So I think the biggest thing is to set your goals from the beginning, really put some thought into planning it out, what you're trying to obtain from a return side of things, whether it's a return on your ad spend, whether it's a cost per lead. And go with it as long as you can. You might have to change, you might have to be flexible. Maybe you aren't going to convert like you thought you were going to convert, but set it at the beginning and go after it.
Cool. So it seems to me like knowing your lifetime value of a customer is really important. So here at LeadPages, I'd love to know like specifically our strategy as a software as a service company with subscriptions of monthly and annual rates and so forth. When you're looking at your spreadsheet for success or not, what is your target for return on investment of those ads?
Yeah, we shoot for a 1-to-1 on the initial purchase. So spend what it takes to what we're going to get in return from a revenue side of things on that first purchase. Like you mentioned, we have monthly plans, we have annual plans, and once we get somebody in the door, we think people see the value of our product. A lot of people stay on for a long time. We've got an awesome customer service team. The goal is to break even from the start and then to allow all of our awesome internal components and our product to do the rest.
And it seems to me that you're actually failing at hitting that 1-to-1 mark. You keep coming back with numbers that are above that.
Yes, if you can call it failing if you want, but we have been very successful so far. Facebook's a big part of it. We have a big following, which is great. We have a lot of retargeting capabilities, and we can build a lot of lookalike audiences off of that following.
Cool. So it's like 1.5 to 2.0 or something like that we've been seeing in the ratio.
Yeah, on a given month, anywhere between 1 to 2.5 return on that initial purchase.
That's awesome. Very cool. My next question for you involves the ad copy. So with so many different things, obviously we can't talk about every individual instance, but when you're targeting a free gift or a free webinar, which we advertise a lot, what are some of the phrases or types of statements that you're making in the ad copy above the image and below the image that seems to work out quite well? Are you asking questions? Are you making statements? Are you being curious? Are you being controversial? Like what's going on there in your mind as you're making those ads?
We've tried it all. Facebook's a lot different than other paid media platforms where it's a disruptive form of advertising. Someone isn't Googling your brand name, isn't Googling your product. You can do anything from a simple branding message to shock and awe with imaging and with your ad text. The larger we get, we're moving more towards branding. The more people that know us, the more we can drive our brand home and still get the same click rate, still get the same conversion rate. But if you're smaller, I definitely try to test some different things out. Questions have worked well for us in the past. Big call to actions, definitely. Anything that says free in it entices people, especially when it's disruptive.
In a different module, we'll have a conversation about design of those images. But are you noticing anything particular about text and text versus images? Obviously, there's a 20% rule and all that, but I've seen some ads that have absolutely no text whatsoever, and then others where the text is very obvious and contrasted versus others that's just like it's maybe 1 or 2 words. So have you noticed any patterns of what's working for us here, or is that something that we're still exploring?
We definitely tested out. We run straight images with no text, and we run some heavily branded stuff with as much text as you could possibly get in with the 20% rule. So I think it's something to test, definitely. I would prefer text over no text if I was starting from scratch and was just running my first ad campaign, though.
Andrew, I have another question for you that a lot of our viewers are likely interested to know, and that is, when is it important for them to do it themselves, and when should they hire an agency to manage campaigns for them? What are some of the thought processes that you would recommend people think about to make that decision?
I think it depends on kind of the time you have to spend on it. Facebook is something where you need to be going in, and as we talked about, changing ads, there's ad fatigue, there is a lot of labor involved with it. If it's something that you can't handle, an agency is probably the first place you would look if you can't bring somebody in-house. I think cost is the biggest thing when it comes to an agency, and there's agencies that work as a flat rate every month and they'll manage your ads for you. You still pay the ad spend. Or there's agencies that will charge you a percentage of the ad spend. So if you're spending $20,000, they may take $2,000 or 10% a month as well. I think general rule of thumb, at least what I've seen in my experience, is if you can whether it's flat rate or whether you're paying a percentage, if you can say anywhere in between that 8 to 15% of ad spend range, it might be worth looking into an agency. But Facebook's platform is very easy for even the novice to use. So maybe get in, learn something about it. If you think it could be successful and you don't have enough time, then start to look towards an agency.
Cool. And again, that really comes down to the math of knowing your numbers and knowing what are you able to comfortably spend, knowing that your ROI should be at least even or slightly positive if you have that revenue model in mind.
Yeah, if you know your numbers and you're convinced that an agency can bring you an incremental increase, I think it's something to test out. Maybe bring someone in-house, or maybe you just dedicate a little more time to it yourself as well.
What question have I not asked you so far that you want to make sure that anyone who's exploring advertising on Facebook for their business, what else should I ask you that I might just not know enough about to ask you about?
It hasn't been a direct question, but I spoke about it a lot, and I think the biggest thing from a Facebook side of things is to utilize their targeting capabilities. Take the time, dive in, know what's under every one of those drop downs and how it can impact your business and how you can get to your customers with it. And then to utilize the audience portion of it as well. I think those are the two biggest things. Retarget your own audience, build lookalikes off your audience, build lookalikes off of your customers, build lookalikes off of people who've been to your pricing page. Testing is huge, and just to get in, utilize all this data and test stuff out, and you'll find a successful campaign to run.
All right, Andrew. Well, thank you so much for sharing a lot of wisdom, a lot of strategy of what we're doing here in-house in LeadPages. I know it's going to help out a lot of our viewers here today.
Thanks, Bob. It was fun. I'll do this anytime.
Fantastic. Now, before you go on to the next module, make sure you've downloaded the materials I've created for you to ensure your Facebook advertising success. Simply click on the button below to download all the videos, audios, handouts, and the Facebook advertising system mind map. Just enter in your email address and let me know where we can send those files to your inbox. And when you're ready, go ahead and jump into the next module, and I'll lead you further down the path of growing your business with Facebook advertising and LeadPages.